Chapter 224 to 226. Floor 18, the Safe Zone. In the Damashivers, the 18th floor is called the Under Resort and holds the adventurer city of Rivera, a city built by adventurers for adventurers. That's not the case here. I mean, it's kinda obvious. It's barely been a week since the dungeon opened to the public, so there's no way in hell that anyone, except certain exceptions, me, can make an entire city 18 floors deep in a monster-infested dungeon. Plus, you need to be at least a C rank veteran or be in a party of C ranks to reach this floor without much trouble. After that, the difficulty will slowly rise until floor 100 where you need to have a party of A ranks to reach. After that, from 100 to 200, you need to be at least S rank, so a hero, saint, demon lord, and so on. But I digress. Floor 18, no city, not many adventurers. But Shizu, Mikoto, and I made it without too much trouble, except that time on floor 16 where I got surrounded and left out to dry by the other two girls. Traitors. But surprisingly, Ilya, NNN, Oniai-chan, Ilya, Chloe, Alice, Kenya, Gail and Ryota also made it there at the same time as us. Needless to say, we argued about who won the competition and who lost, until we started feeling tremors throughout the entire dungeon. Or rather, it began to sound more like explosions. And they're getting closer. Boom. 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 From the crystal-covered ceiling that lights up the floor below, a hole was blasted through, causing fragments of crystals to get sent flying everywhere. Looking up, I could see floor 1. Floor fucking 1. Something shoots out from the hole in the ceiling not a moment later. Something pink. Bang. It hits the ground and with a flare of its magicules, it pushes the dust away, revealing its presence, holding a purple true dragon in its arms. Malim, I heard that you had a competition. Why didn't you invite me? Malim shouts at us while looking like she's about to cry. No, I take that back, she really is crying. How sensitive is her hearing? I know she has a skill called Malim Ear, that's similar to her, Malim Eye, except, you know, it's for ears. I need to do something. Quick. Before she throws a tantrum. I suddenly get an idea. I look over towards Ilya and see her looking back towards me. We nod our heads. I take a deep breath. Rimuru, wow. It turns out Malim was the winner. Ilya, I know right. As expected of Malim, winning without even trying. Rimuru/Ilya, ahahahaha. Malim, I won. Malim immediately stops crying and a look of confusion replaces it instead. Rimuru, yes. You see, the real game was to see who could get down here the fastest. You got here in record time. Ilya, amazing, Malim. Meanwhile internally I was screaming, please buy it, while crossing my fingers. Also, technically, I wasn't lying. It was a competition to see which of the teams could reach floor 18 first. But if you twist the wording, you can say that it's a competition on who can reach floor 18 the fastest, just that it's only between two teams and both teams started at the same time. Malim. Is that so? Ladies and gentlemen, we got M. Anyways, I had enough of this weak body so I moved back into my old body that is still on the surface under the care of my clone. I then open a portal to the 18th floor so everyone else can get out. Asterisk rower. Asterisk. Malim, go away. Boom. I hear a roar through the portal and Malim's response. I look through just in time to see her punch a giant skeleton monster into smithereens. Ha! A juggernaut spawned from Malim breaking through all the floors. Everyone walks through the portal and the moment they look at me, their faces turn red as they try to hold back their laughs. I was so confused. Mikoto, bless her soul, grabbed a mirror and faced it towards me. My face was vandalized. I've got permanent marker all over my face. And written on my forehead were the words, Egg Cult Believer. Rimuru, clone Rimuru you fuck year. There's no way I would be an Egg Cult Believer. I am a faithful member of the Church of Meat Buns. Fuck the eggs. A/N, Arita wants to know your location. So that happened. I don't know why, but I couldn't wash it off for the rest of the day. Even using Odin to create runes to wipe it off or to cast an illusion over my face to hide it, it just wouldn't go away. Neither would anything I make using Yahweh work against it, and even manipulating my body's time through Azathoth couldn't get rid of it. Because of this, I somehow realized that clone Rimuru somehow manipulated the bullshit anime logic to his advantage. Motherfucker. Anyways, nothing much happened after that. We continued hanging out and got the kids accommodation for their indefinite stay in Avalon. It's a nice little house out of the way of everything else and a little secluded. Specifically, it's Shizu's house. Ilya and Karama are also freeloading at her place. The night passed while everyone slept, except me and Mikoto. I had Mikoto try a bunny girl cosplay. The next morning, I had nothing to do, so I decided to fuck around a bit. I made a sword. But not just any sword, it's an intelligent sword. I didn't awaken its consciousness just yet though. It's predominantly black with hints of white here and there. The blade is long but thin and slightly curved with a plus-shaped crossguard. Whenever it kills something, it steals all its stats and skills and gives it to its wielder. Furthermore, it can also change its form into different weapons that are unlocked over time. Yes, it's greed from Berserk of the Gluttony. After that, I awakened its consciousness while also giving it knowledge on what it can do, and more importantly, why I made it. Greed. I was made because you were bored. Rimuru, yes. Without waiting to hear its reply, I yeeted out of the window, landing it in a cheap weapons section of a random weapons store. Not even 5 seconds later, someone literally pops into existence right outside the store. They look around, confused for a bit, before shouting, yay. I've been ice-kai'd, before walking right into the shop, turning towards the cheap weapons section, and taking greed from the dozens of other swords in the pile. He then finds a bag of coins in the corner of the building, literally just enough to buy the sword without a copper coin to spare, buys the sword, and immediately leaves in the direction of the dungeon. The guy doesn't even know there is a fucking dungeon in Avalon, he's just been ice-kai'd. In fact, does he even understand the language? He doesn't have magic sense, or something like that to translate for him. No, never mind, he just got it. He went, there's magic in this world, right? So I gotta get a sensing skill. All those anime, manga, and novels said if I just spread my mana around me to sense. And then bam. Skill gained. Well, greed helped too, but still. This is fucking bullshit. I continue watching the Otherworlder as he makes his way to the dungeon, still reeling from the fact that someone popped up out of nowhere just because I made an opportunity to become a protagonist. I mean, the chance of appearing at the exact spot he did, entering the weapon shop, and picking greed up from a pile of junk is. Ilya, less than 1 in 750 sextillion. A/N, 1 in 750 sextillion. Rimuru, thank you. Yeah, that number. In any case, he makes it to Babel Tower and enters it, quickly turning to one of the reception desks to register as an adventurer. As he was filling the form out, surprise surprise, an adventurer with a lot of muscles lumbers up towards him spouting bullshit along the lines of, oi oi. I didn't know the guild accepted weak babies into their ranks. Go back to suck on your mom's tits, boy, and stuff like that. Yes, this is your looking like a weakling but is actually very strong and completely wrecks the offender cliché. Or more specifically, the adventurer registration cliché. The Otherworlder looks at the adventurer, smiles, and goes back to filling out the forum without feeling even the slightest bit miffed. This obviously pisses the adventurer off as he grabs his heavy axe off his back and smashes it down at the clueless Otherworlder. Suddenly, the Otherworlder flinches before jumping to the side as his spider sense, unique skill, yes, I checked, that's the actual name of his skill, activated. I'm sure you already know what it can do. A little brawl later, the adventurer gets knocked on his ass before he calls his friends for help. More brawling, and the adventurer and all his friends are knocked out. The Otherworlder gets praised since apparently that adventurer likes to harass newbies. Well, sure, he looks intimidating with all his muscles, but he and his group are D rank at best. Anyway, the Otherworlder signed up and proceeded to descend into the dungeon, talking to his sword all the while. He reached the first floor and got to killing. He didn't even bother glancing towards the counter that sells all the resurrection bracelets, magic crystal inventory bags, returning whistles, teleport beacons, or other such dungeon-exclusive items. Not that he had the money in the first place. Not even 5 minutes later he comes across a pair of girls who were about to get killed by a bunch of goblins. To be fair, there were around 8 goblins there, which is more than double the amount found in a single group for the first floor. Furthermore, there's also one of Adelman's skeletons. Guess they were unlucky. But suddenly, our resident Otherworlder jumps in and wipes out all the goblins. And after a very tough, hard, climaxing battle with multiple power-up scenes and a bunch of shouting, the Otherworlder finally won. I died a little every time the guy shouted, "You cannot defeat me while I have something to protect," the protection target being a pair of girls he literally just met. Granted, they're pretty, maybe an 8 out of 10, and they're also wearing skimpy adventurer clothing, so yeah. They better be thankful I took away the genitals of any goblin monster spawned by the dungeon. And so, after a heartfelt, "Daijobu desu ka," the two girls instantly fell in love. Rimuru, bruh. They picked up all 8 magic stones, the skeleton didn't drop one, and left the dungeon as the two girls did their best to explain everything to the otherworlder, who immediately confessed his status as a patron of the infamous Trukuan. Rimuru, meat bun rob is way better. Meanwhile, the girls are rubbing their tits on his arm and shaking their asses while he has this clueless, dense, goofy smile all the while. He even had the nerve to say, "I wonder why everyone is glaring at me," under his breath. Honestly, it's a bit annoying to watch. I mean, even I'm not that dense. Right? A/N, cough. Next up, they happen to cross paths with a dark elf child. There's a bit of a problem with that though. She's dressed in rags, has a metal collar around her neck, and is currently being whipped by a rich fat man that is the personification of grease. What the fuck? Isn't slavery illegal in Avalon? This guy is whipping a slave child in the middle of the streets. Wait, hold on, where did everyone go? The entire street is empty. And all the security cameras in the area are down. Not only that, but the runes along the streets are also not working. If I wasn't keeping track of the otherworlder, I somehow get the feeling that even I wouldn't have noticed this. Damn bullshit anime logic. The otherworlder immediately stops the greasy man and demands to let the child go. The child is looking at the otherworlder like he's her savior. The rich man says no, obviously, and then the otherworlder proceeds to beat him into unconsciousness and cut the slave collar with greed. Arimuru. Couldn't you have just reported the whole thing to someone instead of beating the guy up? The noble would have gotten a life sentence in Avalon's jail for slavery and child abuse. If he did something worse than that, then he will be subjected to a nightmare room, where it's just a plain white room with runes that will prevent the complete degradation of sanity, and every time you sleep, you will experience your worst nightmares. I contact Soai with telepathy. Rimuru, there's a guy here. Lock him up. I send the location to Soai, who immediately sends someone to deal with it. While this was happening, the otherworlder went to get food and clothes for the child. Suddenly, he says something worrying. Otherworlder. Am I the protagonist of this world? Oh hell no. I use Azathoth to time travel back to the time when the otherworlder first appeared. Doing so, I meet the past me. Past Rimuru. Something happened, didn't it? Rimuru, yeah, don't mind me. The otherworlder pops into existence shouting, "Whoa. I've been ice-kai'd," before I use Azathoth again to yeet him back into his own world. I then teleport Greed into the dungeon, hidden in a very secret spot on floor 18. It wouldn't feel right if I just deleted it since it's technically alive, so I kept it in a place where only someone with decent strength can reach. I'm hoping it will be a guy who is picked and bullied on who gets Greed and can begin their journey of revenge and prove their worth to the world that neglected him. Rimuru, done. I'm outta here. I wave goodbye to my past self before time traveling back to the present, finding everything in order. There were no female adventurers almost dying on the first floor, nor is there any slaver or slave dark elf child. I need to sleep. A few days later. Rimuru, I want to travel to other parallel worlds. Mikoto, that's a bit sudden. Why? Indeed it was a bit sudden, I just suddenly brought it up while we were having lunch with Ilya and Velofis. Rimuru, because it sounds fun. It really does. Imagine, I appear in front of a person who looks just like me when he goes, "Who are you?" and then I go, "I am you," before proceeding to beat his ass. Cough. I got carried away. Ilya Oniai-chan also wants to assert dominance. Mikoto, that makes more sense. True. I tried asserting my dominance to my clone to see if it has a similar effect, but... Cuts to the memory of Rimuru T-posing intensely towards clone Rimuru, causing him to have a seizure. My clones can't handle my awesomeness. Later in the day. I'm here in the meeting room along with all my subordinates and other people, repeating my decision. Rimuru, I'm going to go to a parallel world. Ah fuck. Rigard, what do you mean, Rimuru Samaea? Benimaru, have we displeased you in some way? So I am a failure. I shall dispose of myself. Ranga, Rimuru-sama. Why are you leaving us? Ramiris, Rimuru's leaving. Who's going to give me my salary then? Diablo *Psi Rimuru-sama is abandoning me. I guess this world has no more reason to exist. Everyone is panicking in their own way. I was watching with slight annoyance at myself. Something like this already happened before. You would think I would have learned to think before I speak, where it can't be taken as, hey, I'm abandoning you guys and I'm not coming back, lol. I only snapped out of it when Diablo said some very concerning words while gathering a scary amount of magicules. Rimuru, alright, everyone is TOP. Everyone quietens down at my words. Rimuru, first off, I'm not abandoning you guys, this is merely a small vacation, I'm coming back in a few days at most. I just want to check out other worlds to satisfy my curiosity. Everyone sighs in relief. Ramiris, so my paycheck is safe. I ignore a certain fairy and continue. Rimuru, and secondly, inhale, you guys need to stop jumping to the worst case conclusions. I mean, seriously. I said I was going and you thought it was the end of the world. And so, after they all calmed down, I dropped the next bomb. Rimuru, so yeah, it's just going to be me, Mikoto and Ilya. Shuna, Rimuru-sama. Cheyenne, don't leave me behind. Cheyenne jumps at me and wraps her arms around me in a tight hold. If I were a normal human, I would have died. Well, her bobs feel nice. As for why I won't take anyone else. Well, the reason is really simple. The author can't be bothered writing them all in another world meeting their counterparts. I'm also not curious what the other Rimuru's reaction would be when he meets Shizu. Okay, I lied, I am curious. Milim, no fair. I also want to go with you guys. I want to see if I can beat up the other Milim. God, I really want to see that. Rimuru. Next time. Milim pouts. Arimuru, listen, I'm fine taking you guys with me. But I just want a small group at first, which is why I'm only taking Ilya and Mikoto since they don't have a counterpart in the parallel world. Plus, you know, the author. Trainee, who? Rimuru, nothing. In any case, I just thought I'd give you guys a heads up. See you in a few days. I take Yamato out from my inventory and slash the area in front of me, opening a rift in space directly into the void before I jump in. And then I die. I'm joking. I mean, I would have died if I didn't have Azathoth protecting me, so yeah. I'm a dumbass. I then create a black and white car that looks familiar so it can protect Ilya and Mikoto from the void. They don't have the same protections, although I'm pretty sure as spiritual beings of the highest order, they can survive. Later, we're all in the car. I won't tell you how they got here. I'm sitting in the driver's seat, Mikoto is sitting in the passenger seat, and Ilya is, somehow sitting on my lap. Well, I'm definitely not complaining. Rimuru, so which way do we go? I ask our resident GPS Imudo. Ilya, Ilya closes her eyes and furrows her eyebrows. I pat her head. Mikoto looks at me with expectant eyes, so I reach over and pat her head too. Mikoto, on. Oh my god. Ilya opens her eyes and snaps her head towards Mikoto, glaring at her. Mikoto sees this and pokes her tongue out slightly. Seeing this, I suddenly get a bad feeling. And I was right. Ilya, yawn. Mikoto, ah. Ilya, oniai-chan. Mikoto, yamite kudasai. Ilya, kimochi-ai. Mikoto, Rimuru. Ilya, on. Rimuru, okay, that's enough. I stop patting their heads and press my foot on the accelerator. The car sets off in a random direction. Sideways. Rimuru, déjà vu. I've just been in this place before. Higher on the street. And I know it's my time to go. Calling you, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet. It's so hard when I try to be me, whoa. Did I forget to mention that this is the déjà vu drift car? A few seconds later, I arrive at the boundaries of another world, so I drive into it and enter the world. The moment I enter the world, Ilya sent an info package of it into my mind. It's nearly exactly the same as my world, except for a couple of differences. For one, there is no Bryce. And two, the Rimuru here is evil. Rimuru, well, this is definitely not the world I was looking for. Name, Rimuru. Race, origin slime. Protection, crest of space. Title, highest tier spirit, leader of the monsters, Oniai-chan, king of Avalon, master of head pats, procrastinator king, the nutcracker, socially awkward cringe slightly Chuyuni slime, true dragon slayer, sensei, world's strongest, overpowered to a stupid degree, Mikoto's equal, non-virgin. Codex, Iliasville. Ultimate skills, Yahweh, God of creation, Odin, God of runes, Azathoth, God of void, alternative. Equipment, Yamato, Genesis.